Hey everyone, I'm back. I'm going to change subjects on you a little bit. Something that I've been into since, I guess, 2016. It would be early 2016, February time. I decided to jump in and get into the Bitcoin madness. I, at that point, bought one one full Bitcoin. It was at the $1,200 mark, and I thought, hey, you know what? I've been hearing about this. Let me go for it and see what happens. And that's sort of how you get started. I was like, you're into cryptocurrencies. Oftentimes people started with Bitcoin, and then it's like a gateway drug. You kind of get into Bitcoin and then you find out, well, wait a minute, what's this Litecoin thing? And at first I saw Litecoin and I was like, that seems like the, Betamax version of VHS. And that's just, I don't know if that's going to fly. And I kind of avoided it thinking that it was maybe inferior. And then got into some more research and started following some people on Twitter like Bix Weir, um, who has been tremendous, not only for cryptocurrencies, but for a lot of other things, kind of uncovering financial fraud and other kind of interesting financial mysteries around, the United States. And certainly with the whole gold in the Grand Canyon kind of thing, a lot of interesting things coming out of Bix Weir. But I really got turned on to his information, and he really started educating me on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and really, the possibility of this becoming a way to really help humanity get out of the old system and into a new system. And so with that, I got into Bix Weir, and then he was promoting a company called Perpetual Assets that he's a client of, and I thought, well, this is really interesting too, because I really wanted to get more heavily involved in cryptocurrency. I was not sure how much money I wanted to dump into it, but I had this old Roth IRA account that I had kind of left stagnant for a while. I hadn't really done anything with it. I hadn't contributed much to it, but it was doing all right. And I thought, well, you know what? I have the possibility. I could roll this over into an account in my own possession. I can turn it into what's called a IRA, LLC IRA, and it's something where I've created this other entity, but I get to manage all of the transactions. I get to actually hold the assets, so you can invest in silver, in Bitcoin, other cryptocurrencies, and you actually keep it. It's not like you are telling somebody else that you want to buy it and they're holding it and they have the private keys and everything. So I've been doing that, and that actually went quite well, along with a lot of other people through December of last year. Not surprisingly, it was almost like stupid investment. Like you could buy a little bit of Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, other things. If you purchase that, through the summer of 2017, into the fall, um, this thing just took off. It was like you didn't even really need to know what you were doing. And then we kind of came back to reality, I think. I know there was some indication that there was some manipulation there, very possible. It seems like that's definitely a factor in how fast things went, how far things went um, in the rise. But anyhow, in through this cryptocurrency space, one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that you have to be in control of your own private keys. Keep your assets off of the exchanges, because exchanges can be hacked. There can be all kinds of problems with it being on the exchange. Some of the exchanges are less than honest. They may not actually have all of the cryptocurrency that they claim to have, which is why sometimes it's difficult to transfer funds away from an exchange into your own wallet, because they don't actually have it. So I've seen delays, with like HitBTC, where you try to pull your assets out of the exchange, and then it's delayed for like hours, because I think that they're kind of scrambling trying to load up and then allow you to release your funds to your own private wallet. Well, that message hit me loud and clear. So, of all the ways you can protect your cryptocurrencies, I was a big fan of the hardware wallet. This would be like a Trezor, um, and that's the one that I use. And so, I liked the idea of keeping it somewhat electronic. It's a hardware wallet. It holds all of your assets. You can move it quickly that way if it's already in a hardware wallet. Um, and so decided to do that. Now, when the recent update happened, and this is where I'm get into the real story here. The recent firmware update with Trezor, I thought, well, I've done this before. There's been several other updates. Go through the process. Um, Firmware update complete. All my assets are sitting there just as usual. Well, this time was a little different, and they even gave you a warning, and I got the email directly from Trezor. You know, this is the process. They want to make sure you have your recovery seed. Recovery seed is, you know, a dedicated list of words that you can use to recover all of your assets. Um, and so they said that this next update, if you had the Trezor 1, you would very likely wipe out everything that's on the hardware wallet, but it's no problem. You just put your recovery seed in and follow that process, and everything should be fine. Well, I had actually added 2 other layers of security. So I used a passphrase and I had a passcode. And I did not realize that when I put in the recovery seed, I also had to go through the process of making sure I put in the proper passphrase, the passcode as well, in order to get access back to my assets. And I freaked out. I thought I lost everything. I was in a total panic. So I was contacting friends, and I, you know, contacted Will there at Perpetual Assets, and kind of knowing, you know, like, look, this is my issue. I had to resolve it. I was just kind of hoping that they would have some information or something to kind of help me, you know, through it. To like next steps, what should I do? I even emailed Cliff High because I was like, if anyone's going to know how to deal with this hardware wallet issue, it would be Cliff. And of course, I mean, the guy gets probably thousands of emails and lots of, you know, questions and inquiries. And here I am with, it's my fault. It's total user error situation. And so to make a long story shorter, I figured out what I had to do. I put in the recovery seed one more time. I reestablished my passphrase and my PIN, and boom, my funds were back, and I was like over the moon because I thought all was lost. I thought I'm going to have to rebuild my crypto assets from scratch. This is going to take forever. I'll miss the next rocket up, and you know, I good luck. You know, but thankfully, you know, I did follow the advice of Bix and others, and you know, I do own my private keys. I do have my recovery seed. I did everything right, but I didn't trust it. I thought that something happened in the update, and you know, I mean, that's a real important lesson to learn. I mean, I think as we're moving, hopefully we are moving into this new system, but there's an element of personal responsibility that you have to, you know, take on. And that's something that, you know, the old system was like, hey, you know, centralize this, give it to a central bank. You always have that person you can call on the 800 number and get help or whatever. But this is, you know, I think we're moving into a different period of time where, you know, we really do have to move away from these centralized models, relying on other people to kind of take care of us, protect us, which is, you know, maybe a video for another day, but I just wanted to, you know, kind of jump in, get talking a little bit about cryptocurrencies, because I do think that there's some amazing things happening with this. We're going to see really, you know, really see things explode in this year and the coming years of not only just cryptocurrency itself as a means of exchange, but the technology around automizing things, you know, allowing the math to control transactions of any kind, not just, you know, financial transactions, but what about titling your car, titling your house? I mean, it goes on and on. Blockchain technology can replace a lot of things that we've been, you know, using really archaic methods to track who owns what and who transferred ownership to whom. These are things that can all be done with blockchain, and there's some, you know, some tremendous companies that have some really smart people working at that. And I'll probably get into that a little bit, share with you what I've learned about some different companies out there that are doing some really interesting things in the crypto space. But I thought I would just jump in, share my story. You know, if you're going to get into cryptocurrencies, do find a way to protect your assets. Get a hardware wallet, or what I didn't talk about, the other method are the paper wallets, and certainly you can go on YouTube Google it, find out for yourself what all this means. What is a paper wallet? How do I make a paper wallet? Um, what is a Trezor? How do I set up a Trezor? How do I store that recovery seed? How do I make sure that my funds are safe? And so, but this is all something you can learn. In today's day and age, with everything out there on the internet, ignorance is a choice. Yeah, if you have a little bit of time and you want to do some research, there's somebody out there on YouTube and elsewhere that would love to teach you how to do stuff. I'm trying to do that a little bit with my C60 updates and making that for myself, and then hopefully imparting out a little knowledge to my fellow man about how to, tackle that. But yeah, you just go and do some research. Find someone that you can trust and believe in. It doesn't have to be Bix Weir, and it doesn't have to be Perpetual Assets and Will Lear, but I do think that you have the ability to take control of your life and your health, and hopefully this channel can be a part of expanding your thinking about this. I may get into some other topics, but right now I pretty much heavily focused on C60, obviously with the channel, but also cryptocurrencies. And then I may get into some kind of philosophical discussions. I'm a counselor by profession, and this is the kind of conversation I have all day long. And so hopefully my philosophy can help you out in some way, shape, or form. So anyway, I encourage you to like this video, share, subscribe. If you find this interesting and you want to comment on your own, please do. Please share. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. I do try to respond. But anyway, have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.